This is All News Channel.
Now, news straight from America's hometowns. This is All News Channel.
American workers may deserve some extra recognition this Labor Day. Hello, everyone. I'm Stan Turner. A new study says Americans work harder than anyone else in the world. It means we now work longer hours than the Japanese, who were once the hardest working in the industrialized world. Americans are also the most productive. The hard work has paid off with a surging economy and low unemployment rate. But what is the downside? Well, our Pat Rogers takes a look at the condition of the American worker.
The lowest unemployment in 30 years, the smallest percentage of Americans on welfare in 29 years. The Labor Department statistics show that workers' wages and compensation rose 8 to 10% in the 90s. It's a good time to be an American worker.
It's a buyer's market. The employee is the one who can basically make demands and see those demands met.
In the retail sector, employers can barely find enough workers. They have to offer extra incentives such as signing bonuses, even free concert or sports tickets to recruit workers. But even with the good times rolling, workers have concerns.
Workers are concerned about their health care. They're concerned about the trend of so many of the new jobs not including health benefits, and especially those who have children.
More companies are hiring temporary workers, and those jobs usually don't come with health benefits. And while the future looks bright for most American workers, some could be left behind. The nature of the labor force has dramatically changed over the last 20 years. Just 20 years ago, 60% of all American workers were considered unskilled. Today, 60% are considered skilled, and that percentage is bound to rise. That means training, much of it high-tech computer training, is at a premium.
Increasingly, as a part of collective bargaining agreements with labor unions today, you find that they are putting increased emphasis on getting the training, the skill development of their members.
American workers will need that training if the U.S. wants the economy to keep booming. Many of the fastest growing sectors of the economy in the next century are computer-related, making many of the skills of this century obsolete. In Washington, Pat Rogers reporting.
A settlement may be near in the week-long Detroit teachers' strike. Talks continue today between school officials and the teachers' union. The teachers could be voting on a new proposal as soon as tomorrow. Sticking points have included merit pay, class size, and sick days. School officials plan to start laying off other school employees tomorrow if no agreement is reached. You may not be worrying about your job on this Labor Day, and for some General Motors employees, they may never have to worry again. Company negotiators are offering many GM workers a job for life. It's part of a deal the United Auto Workers Union is trying to work out with the automaker. The union's contracts expire next week. Topping news across America now. Tragic consequences after a young child finds his father's gun in Miami. Police say 3-year-old Jaconda Snow was killed after her brother found the loaded gun in a closet. The 4-year-old apparently climbed a pile of clothes to reach the .22 caliber gun. His 6-year-old brother tried to take it away from him and accidentally shot his sister in the chest. In Denver, Colorado, the mayor and police officials are defending the actions of their officers. Police used pepper spray and mace to keep fans off the field Saturday at Mile High Stadium. Scott Sander has more.
Hey guys, who made the call? Who made the call?
The question screamed by this father and fan is the same one asked by hundreds who coughed and cried their way out of Mile High.
Perhaps if they hadn't started shooting gas, whether or not the fans would have reacted the way they did.
That theory is backward, claim police and the mayor. The way they see it, tear gas and mace ended the problems rather than starting them. In a news conference, the police leaders outlined an evening of drinking, fighting, and mayhem by fans during the game, which came to a head as the fourth quarter closed.
When I brought the SWAT team onto the field, that, I guess, was really the anger point of the CSU fans.
Those fans, police felt, were determined to take the field.
The officers were instructed not to go into the stands and not to confront the students, period. We did not want to have any one-on-one physical confrontation.
The plan instead was for officers to hold their ground, the playing field, and try to disperse the fans from the stands who were threatening it. Officers did that with mace and tear gas, while fans responded with a barrage of bottles and cans.
The officers showed great restraint. Stand there in formation, in line, while you're getting pelted and hit. And I can tell you from experience, it's not pleasant. It hurts.
To me, it was a success because nobody got hurt, nobody went to the hospital with serious injuries, and all that had to be done was people clean themselves up, as we had to, and the stadium had to be cleaned up.
The mayor says he feels sorrow for the innocent fans caught up in the problem and its solution, but he clearly supports the police department's overall plan of action, leaving the burden of the bad ending on unruly fans.
Mayor Webb is considering banning alcohol sales at next year's game. The passing of the man behind some candid and very funny moments on television, we'll have more coming up on that. And the soaking remnants of a storm called Dennis coming up.
Set your clock for good time.
And boogie! And the minute our eyes heat, I knew she was Gladys Knight and I was the pip.
Call now and get in all the good times with Good Times, now on home video.
I rated D for dang old man.
MJ, stop that nonsense before something falls off.
Call me a cup of coffee and make it like I like my men, hot, black, and strong.
Good Times, the Collector's Edition. Own 4 of the funniest episodes ever for just $4.95 plus shipping and handling.
I'm an Orange East without no algebra before anyway. What am I, an Algerian?
So set your clock for Good Times on home video. Operators are standing by.
To get your first 4-episode video of Good Times, the Collector's Edition for only $4.95 plus shipping, have your credit card ready and call toll-free. 1-800-714-6655. That's 1-800-714-6655.
Alan Funt, creator of the hit television program Candid Camera, is dead at the age of 84. Funt died at his California home of complications from a stroke he suffered in 1993. The show began in 1947 as a radio show called Candid Microphone. The following year, it moved to television. Today, the show is hosted by Alan Funt's son, Peter, on CBS. In world news, 3 Serbs are dead following more unrest in Kosovo. NATO says Russian peacekeepers shot the Serbs after ordering them to stop beating 2 Albanians. The shootings are under investigation, but NATO says the peacekeepers broke no rules. Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak suffered what is described as a slight injury in a stabbing attack today. A man grazed Mubarak's arm with a sharp instrument as Mubarak was waving to a crowd from inside his car near Cairo. Mubarak's wound was treated with disinfectant before he went on to deliver a speech. The government says security guards shot and killed the attacker. Mubarak has survived 3 attempts on his life. Israeli police believe the 3 men involved in yesterday's car bombings were Israeli Arabs. The 3 were the only fatalities in the 2 blasts. DNA samples will be used to identify the suspects. Israeli authorities have arrested another 5 people believed to be behind the attacks, but they are not releasing the identities of any of the suspects. A landmark decision from Israel's Supreme Court. It has banned the use of torture during interrogations. Israeli Secret Service agents will no longer be allowed to force prisoners into the Shabbat position that's shown here. Also no longer allowed grabbing suspects from behind and shaking them violently. That's a practice that led to the death of at least 1 Palestinian prisoner. The violence continues in East Timor less than a week after residents of the Indonesian province voted for independence. Militiamen are torching homes in the capital city of Dili, and they are rounding up and deporting thousands of residents. As Philip Amar reports, the United Nations compound has turned into a safe haven for terrified citizens.
The remaining United Nations staff returned to the comparative safety of their camp in Dili from outlying areas. But within hours, the Indonesian military began firing on a refugee compound next door. Scores of terrified refugees soon flooded the camp, braving the razor wire fences. There was no choice but to open the doors to the terrified crowd. In desperation, parents flung their children over the fence as yet more gunfire could be heard just 50 meters away. It was another example of the anarchy which has gripped East Timor since the independence referendum just a week ago. Since then, the militias have taken over. heaping yet more terror on the suffering which had gone before. For many, it was just too much. UN staff were left to cope with a situation that was clearly out of control. Outside the compound, the situation was lurching toward total anarchy, violence engulfing the streets of Dili and beyond. The UN workers had to help attend to the wounded, many of whom received their injuries while getting into the compound. The worsening violence is sure to increase calls for a stronger role for the international community in East Timor. In other parts of Dili, the evacuation of foreigners continued. These pictures, taken by the Asia Press, show journalists who were forced to leave their hotel. The Indonesian military was struggling to protect them from the militias. To add to the Indonesian government's problems, as well as these anti-independence protesters in Jakarta, other regions are also demanding their own autonomy, threatening the stability of the whole country.
One report says pro-Indonesian troops killed 170 people today alone. Tropical storm Greg is nearing hurricane strength as it heads toward the Baja Peninsula. Mexican authorities have upgraded a tropical storm warning to a hurricane warning for the southern part of Baja California. Meanwhile, tropical depression Dennis is gone, but certainly not forgotten in North Carolina. Labor Day has taken on a literal meaning in Bellhaven. Residents and business owners have turned their efforts to cleaning up the damage the storm left behind.
We just keep right on going because we're just too stubborn to quit. Other than that, we're just here.
After pounding the North Carolina coast for a week, the remnants of Dennis are now drifting across the Northeast. Still to come, a look at the forecast across the nation's hometowns, and later in sports, a Labor Day special from Slammin' Sammy.
This one is going to get out of here. It is way gone.
When pliers won't grip, ratchets won't click, and wrenches won't fit, you just have to quit. No way! Introducing the squeeze wrench. It works in virtually any space and fits any place. Look, in this tight space, an ordinary wrench can't turn. But with the squeeze wrench, you can easily tighten with no trouble at all. A simple squeeze of the handle accelerates the squeeze wrench to tighten or loosen standard and metric nuts and bolts. Now easily tighten a ceiling fan blade, repair a barbecue grill, or install a light fixture where no other tool has gone before. If you can squeeze toothpaste, you can operate the squeeze wrench. You can even reach a bolt behind the oven without moving it. The secret is internal ratchet action that allows you to get power in impossible places, like behind a door handle or in between a crib. Watch, this handheld driver gives you limited power, but the squeeze wrench is over 3 times more powerful on the same bolt. Now adjust a rusty lawnmower, install a garage door opener, or tackle any tough automotive job. Hey, stop busting your knuckles with a regular screwdriver, because the squeeze wrench comes with these screwdriver attachments. Now any hidden screw is easy to get to. Why spend hundreds on tools when all you need is the squeeze wrench? During this special TV offer, you get the squeeze wrench, 5 metric socket inserts, and 4 standard socket inserts, this 1/4-inch bit adapter, and 2 screwdriver bits, all for only $19.95. But it gets better. As a bonus, we'll include this compact carry case to store your squeeze wrench in the kitchen, workshop, or trunk. Yours free. The squeeze wrench comes with an incredible lifetime replacement warranty. If it ever breaks, wears, or fails, we'll replace it free for life. No questions asked. So order now.
Credit card customers call 1-800-323-1900 to order your squeeze wrench for just $19.95 and receive the bonus carry case free, or send check or money order to this address. We also accept checks by phone. Call 1-800-323-1900.